Hello, believers, non believers, and everyone in between. You're listening to Stories with Sapphire. I am Sapphire Sandalo. Now get cozy and open your mind because it's story time. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday Vibe stream. Can you hear me okay? Welcome. This is the live stream I do every Thursday at 4. A little different from the Wednesday live streams because I don't read your stories, but I read from different books that I have. And it's a little bit more chill and it's got music. The music you're listening to right now is written by my husband. If you want, check out his channel. It's Internet Today. He does news coverage, entertainment coverage. Sorry, I just got a text. All right. So this is going to be the last vibe stream of 2022. It'll return in January. I'm going to take a little break from streaming for the holidays. Oh my gosh, I'm burping. So let me say hello to people who are here. Hey, Vanessa Palau, Emma Schrain, Jack Reed, LOL, Elena Espinoza, Heart Me, Mariah Bacon, sorry if I pronounced these wrong, Starstorm Animations, Mr. Anybody, Tommy Four Souls, Oh My Dog, Ishank Chibar, Jerusi T, Laurel Rafia, For Real, John E. Welcome! All right, so we are still making our way through the the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark series. I hate that you can't super hear me. So I'm just grabbing my bit. You can't super hear me when I clip it to my shirt, which sucks because of the reason why I got a lav mic, so I wouldn't have to hold it, but it sounds better when I hold it, so that's okay. All right, this is where we left off. Ooh, this one's got a picture. It's called Oh Susanna, like the song. Hang on, let's see how. Okay, this is a very short one. Here we go. Susanna and Jane shared a small apartment near the university where they were students. When Susanna got back from the library one night, the lights were out and Jane was asleep. Susanna undressed in the dark and quietly got into bed. She had almost fallen asleep when she heard someone humming the tune to the song. Oh, Susanna. Jane, she said, please stop humming. Oh, humming. I want to get some sleep. Jane didn't answer, but the humming stopped, and Susanna fell asleep. She awakened early the next morning. Too early, she decided, and was trying to get back to sleep when she heard the humming again. Please go back to sleep, she told Jane. It's too early to get up. Jane didn't answer, but the humming continued. Susanna became angry. Cut it out, she said. It's not funny. When the humming still did not stop, she lost her temper. She jumped out of bed, pulled the covers off Jane, and screamed. Jane's head was gone. Somebody had cut off her head. I'm having a nightmare, Susanna told herself. When I wake up, everything will be all right. And then that's how it ends. Okay. It's not the same, but it kind of reminds me of the one urban legend where the roommate, the one that is in the movie Urban Legend, where she has a roommate and then she's always having sex with someone in the room, and so the roommate puts on headphones to go to sleep, and then one night she comes in and she hears her roommate making sounds, and so she's like, okay, I'm not gonna turn the light on, I'll just ignore you, and so she puts her headphones on. And then in the morning when she wakes up and she's calling her roommate, and she she's not responding, and then she turns the light on, and on her mirror, somebody wrote in blood, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn the lights on?" And then she looks over and her roommate's dead. Sort of what it reminds me of, but not really. Anyway, Urban Legends, underrated movie. It's not great. The ending is stupid, but I love it because I love Urban Legends. Okay. Okay, I think there's a comment. Rectinus Sorcerer, who ate Sapphire? It's not ate, it's Ate. Hi, Ate Sapphire. Ate means older sister in Filipino. All right, here we go. This one's called The Man in the Middle. I'm the man in the middle. It was almost midnight. Sally Truitt had just gotten on the subway train at 50th Street after visiting her mother. "Don't worry," Sally had told her. "The subway is safe. There's always a policeman on duty." But that night, she didn't see one. Except for her, the subway car was empty. At 42nd Street, 3 tough-looking men got on. 2 of them were holding up the third, who looked drunk. His head rolled from side to side, and his legs refused to work. When they got him seated between them, his head came to rest on one of his shoulders. Sally thought he was staring at her. She buried her head in a book and tried not to notice. At 28th Street, one of the men stood up. "Take it easy, Jim," he said to the man in the middle, and he got off. At 23rd Street, Jim's other friends stood up. "You'll be fine," he said, and he got off. Now the only ones left in the car were Jim and Sally. Just then, the train went around a sharp curve, and Jim pitched onto the floor at Sally's feet. When she looked down at him, she saw a trickle of blood on the side of his head, and just above it, a bullet hole. I know, Jack Reed, 3 tough men. I know, like, what does that even mean? So that is actually not the first version I have heard of that story. The one that I initially heard was called like the staring or the starer. Maybe you've heard of it too, but it's the same idea, except not fully empty subway, I don't think. But a girl sits down in a subway and she notices that the man who is sitting right across from her, it's a crowded subway, so he's jammed between these 2 men. And the guy's just staring at her, and she feels really, really uncomfortable. And then someone, like, before she, or like at the next stop, somebody like pulls her aside and takes her to the next car. And she's like, "Why are you pulling me away?" And the person is like, "That guy who was staring at you is dead, and the other people are holding him up." I'm sure that's the version you've heard. Maybe not. Okay. Ready for The Cat in a Shopping Bag? Oh, I have no idea where this one goes. Oh, here we go. Mrs. Briggs was driving to the shopping mall to do some last-minute Christmas shopping when she accidentally ran over a cat. She could not bear to leave the corpse on the road for other cars to hit and squash, so she stopped, wrapped the cat in some tissue paper she had with her, and put it in an old shopping bag in the back seat. She would bury it in the backyard when she got home. At the mall, she parked her car and began walking to one of the stores. She had taken only a few steps when, out of the corner of her eye, she saw a woman reach into the open window of her car and take the shopping bag with the dead cat. Then the woman quickly got into a car nearby and drove away. Mrs. Briggs ran back to her car and followed the woman. She caught up with her at a diner down the road. She followed her inside and watched the woman slide into a booth and give a waitress her order. As the woman sat sipping her soda, she reached into Mrs. Briggs' shopping bag. Then she bent down and looked inside. A look of horror crossed her face. She screamed and fainted. The waitress called an ambulance. 2 attendants carried the woman away on a stretcher, but they left the shopping bag behind. Mrs. Briggs picked up the bag and ran after them. This is hers, she called. It's her Christmas present. She wouldn't want to lose it. That's actually really I kind of like that one. I've never heard that one in my life. If I did, I don't remember it. But that one's pretty funny. It's like, oh, I thought it was going to go in some weird way where the cat was like a shapeshifter and this woman is trying to get her cat back or something like that. Adam Lombardo, thank you for the super chat. I think the people on the train were just the cast of Weekend at Bernie's. You know what? I have not seen that movie, but it's one of those movies where you hear it so much out in the wild and you hear about it in scenes and that it feels like you've seen it. You know what I mean? That's one of those movies. Like, okay, yeah, I know what happens in that movie, but I actually haven't seen it. Like The Godfather, I've never seen, but I know so much about it that it feels like I've seen it. All right. Also, I want to respond to a comment that I think is hilarious. Rectinus Sorcerer, did you grow up in the Philippines? Because if so, you're very good at English. I'm very good at English because it was my first language because I grew up in California. It's funny. It's funny. Okay. Ready for your next story? This one is called The Bed by the Window. The three old men shared a room. Oh, I love this story. It's not really scary, but it's just a chill story. Okay. The three old men shared a room at the nursing home. Their room had only one window, but for them, it was the only link to the real world. Ted Conklin, what a name. Ted Conklin, who had been there the longest, had the bed next to the window. When Ted died, the man in the next bed, George Best, took his place, and the third man, Richard Green, took George's bed. Despite his illness, George was a cheerful man who spent his days describing the sights he could see from his bed. Pretty girls, a policeman on horseback, a traffic jam, a pizza parlor, a fire station, and other scenes of life outside. Richard loved to listen to George, but the more George talked about life outside, the more Richard wanted to see it for himself. Yet he knew that only when George died would he have his chance. He wanted to look out that window so badly that one day he decided to kill George. He's gonna die anyway. He's gonna die soon anyway, he told himself. What difference would it make? George had a bad heart. If he had an attack during the night and a nurse could not get to him right away, he had pills he could take. He kept them in a bottle on top of the cabinet between his bed and Richard's. All Richard had to do was knock the bottle to the floor where George could not reach it. A few nights later, George died just as Richard had planned he would. And the next morning, Richard was moved to the bed by the window. Now he would see for himself all the things outside that George had described. After the nurses had left, Richard turned to the window and looked out. But all he could see was a blank brick wall. Single speed soldier. They see non-white people and they're like, wow, you speak really good English. I know. It's okay. It's okay. A lot of people do ask. I talk about the Philippines so much and being Filipino so much that people don't know if I was. I could have been born there, but I was not. English is my only language. I'm currently learning Cebuano though. Nagtuon ko og Cebuano. Still so bad at it. Oh, here we go. Adam, cat bag kid. Mom, why does the tree smell so bad? What was the other? Oh, here we go. Laurel, what I don't get is why Richard couldn't just walk over and look out the window. Laurel, you're asking the right questions. Maybe they do specify, but like maybe they're bedridden. Maybe they're immobile. Immobile, that's not the right word. As I'm just saying, like maybe like just going over there isn't easy, is what I mean. I don't know. It's not a well thought out story. And also something I would have changed is amping up the death and the killing part. I don't think they really explained how that worked. And also, I feel like it's better if they don't share his plan. I feel like now I'm giving notes on Scary Stories. So I give notes on the other stories in the other stream too. But not giving away the plan. Like, we're just like, wait, Richard, what are you doing? And then George dies, and then we go, oh, that's what he was doing. And then he moves, and then is disappointed. You know what I mean? All right, here we go. This one's called The Dead Man's Hand. I don't remember this one, so I'll be surprised along the way with you. Single speed soldier. Ate Sapphire, can you show us how Filipinos say hi? With the eyebrows. So funny. Single speed soldier. Pinoy ka? Cebuano ka? Taga-asa ka? Adam, maybe Richard was sleeping on a purple mattress. What? Can you not get up from them? Or Ishank Chibber, is that a stuffed vampire doll? I just noticed. It's not just a vampire. It's a manananggal, because there's her little leggies. Isn't that cute? Love it. Okay. So I think we'll do. Let's see what time we got. I'm in a bit of a bind here, but I think we can do 2 more. Oh, my dog Norman's staring at me. All right, so this one's called The Dead Man's Hand. The students at the school for nurses got along quite well with one another, except for Alice. The trouble with Alice was that she was perfect. At least that is how it seemed to the other students. She was always friendly and always cheerful. Nothing ever upset her. Her school assignments were always on time and always perfect. She didn't even bite her fingernails. Many of the student nurses resented Alice. They would have liked to see her fail at something, become frightened, or cry, or do something that showed she had weaknesses, like they did. One night, several students tried to frighten Alice with a practical joke. They borrowed the hand of a corpse they had been studying in anatomy and tied it to the light cord in her closet. When she tried to turn on the light, she would find herself holding a dead man's hand. That would scare anybody, one of them said. If it doesn't scare her, nothing will. After tying the hand in place, they went to the movies. When they got back, Alice was asleep. But when they didn't see her the next morning, they decided to find out what had happened. There was no sign of Alice in her room, but they soon found her. She was sitting on the floor in her closet, staring at the dead man's hand and mumbling to herself. Alice didn't even look up. The joke had worked, but nobody was laughing. What? Hang on. Super chat. Thank you, Joey. Yes, Alice committed the most horrendous crime of all, being a decent person. Well, also, it's to describe someone as perfect is that's a weird way to describe anyone, because that's so subjective. That can mean a million things to different people. A more accurate thing would say, like, you could say someone's a perfectionist, because then it's like they are always trying to do everything perfectly. But to say somebody is perfect, like, what does that mean? It depends on who you're asking, right? I don't know. So that, to me, that word doesn't mean anything, personally. Also, I don't fully understand. So basically, they tried to... This story did not go the way I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to be like, and then they discovered that she was actually dead the whole time. Because that's all these stories are. It's how they always end. So it scared her so much that is that how what the story is? They just scared her that much that she got spooked. She got spooked. She got scared so much. You know what I mean? That she like she just like lost it. All right. All right, y'all. This will be, I think we will end on this one. And I, again, don't remember this one. So we're going along. This is the first time I'm hearing this. So, a ghost in the mirror. There's a picture. Oh. Is this a story or a game? What? No, we're not going to do down. This one's weird. Okay, here we go. This one's called The Curse. My dad's friend, Charlie Potter, was a small, nervous man who was always looking around as if he was in some kind of danger. After he told me this story about his college fraternity, I understand why. The frat doesn't exist anymore, he said. It was banned years ago. We had just 9 members at that point, and we're taking in 2 more, Jack Lawton and Ernie Kramer. One night in January, just about this time of year, the 9 of us took them out into the country for their initiation. We took them to an old deserted house where 2 young men, about our age, had been murdered recently. Their murderer was still at large. We gave Jack a lighted candle and told him to go up to the 3rd floor. Stay there for an hour, we told him, then come back down. Don't speak, don't make any noise. If your candle goes out, carry on in the dark. From where we were standing, we could see the light from Jack's candle moving up the stairs to the 2nd floor, then to the 3rd. But when he got to the 3rd floor, his candle went out. We guessed that he had come to a drafty corner and the wind blew it out, but when the hour went by and he didn't come down, we weren't so sure. We waited another 15 minutes and got more and more nervous. So we sent Ernie Kramer up after him. When Ernie got to the 3rd floor, his candle also went out. We waited 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but there was no sign of either of them. Come on down, we called, but they didn't answer. Oh, sorry. I think maybe my battery died. Hang on. Hello, hello, hello. Whoa. Hello? How's that? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. At what point did it cut out? Can you tell me at what point it cut out? That's so funny because I usually don't look at the chat when I'm reading the stories, and then I saw that it was like gah, 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 and I was like, "What's going on?" And then I saw, "Oh, I can't hear you." And then I looked at I haven't charged this in a while, so that's what happened. So sorry about that. That's so funny. Where did it leave off so I can pick up? Four sentences back, they were about to go into the house. Oh. Okay. About to go in the house. Okay, but when the hour went by and he didn't come down, we weren't so sure. We waited okay, so finally we decided to go and get them. Armed with flashlights, we started up the stairs. It was as quiet and dark as a grave in that house. When we got to the second floor, we called out again, but there was no answer. When we got to the third floor, we walked into a great big open space like an attic. Jack and Ernie weren't there, but we saw footprints in the dust. These led to a room on the other side of the attic. That room was also empty, but there was fresh blood on the floor and the window was wide open. It was about 25 feet to the ground, but there was no ladder or rope in sight that they could have used to get down. We searched the rest of the house and the land around the house and found nothing. We decided that they were playing a trick on us. We figured that in some way they had escaped through the window and were hiding in the woods. The blood on the floor was to throw us off track. We guessed that they'd show up the next day with a lot of stories and a lot of laughs, but they didn't. The next day, we told the Dean of Men what had happened, and he reported it to the police. The police didn't find anything either, and after several weeks, the search ended. To this day, no one knows what happened to Jack Lawton and Ernie Kramer. There isn't much more to tell, he said. We weren't arrested, but the college disbanded the fraternity and suspended the 9 of us from school for a year. The strangest part came after we graduated. Someone must have placed a curse on us. Every year since then, around the time of that initiation, one of us has died or gone crazy. I'm the only one left, he said, and I'm in pretty good health. But there are times when I feel just a little peculiar. And I love this. In parentheses, it says, now rush at someone in the audience and scream. So that's pretty funny. All right. Well, tech issues aside, thank you for joining me today in this edition of the Vibe stream. This is the last one of 2022. You'll get notifications on when these will return, but I need to go get ready now for some stuff. So, excuse me. I am very burpy. All right, thank you, Tommy Four Souls, Adam Lombardo, Jack Reed, Laurel, Newbie Pro, Aishunk, Shibber, Emma Schrain, Rectinus Sorcerer, Antoine Lyon, Single Speed Soldier, Jack Reed, Blinded Vendetta, Starstorm Animations, Demonizer 133, Mariah Bacon, John E, Joey Turner. Thank you for hanging out with me. Live streams will return in January 2022. Have a great holiday season and a happy new year. Bye bye.